in the industry. He's known in the industry as an expert when it comes to business proposals, and we are very honored to have him here today. Most of the finance organizations use him, and so he's very versatile and well informed when it comes to what the investors are looking for. So, Mr. Techi, without wasting much time, I'm going to hand over to you as I try to share my screen as well so that everyone can see and follow through. Please let me know if you're able to see my screen.
Yes, it came and left.
Let me try that again. Can you see it now?
Nope. Okay, all right. All right. Thank you.
Great.
Oh, okay. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Agyeena Kesi Techi, like Thekla said, and I am the CEO for Impact Initiatives Limited, a consulting firm that's about a decade and a half years old, and we do a lot of things, which I'll sum up into three. We develop strategic documents, one of which is a business plan. We do feasibility studies, market survey, strategic plan, operational, and so on and so forth. Then we link companies to market and then to funding. And this morning, we are here to just speak on one aspect of what I do, which is developing a winning business plan. Now, this is not something that we can do justice to in an hour. So what I will say is that I'll go through the slides and try to cover as much grounds as I can. Wherever we get to, we will stop. Then probably when Thekla finds time later, we can finish up from where we started. All right. Now, when it comes to business plan, there is no, of course, I put in this outline for the purposes of our presentation, but there is no hard and fast rule about outlines. Every company and what they accept. The local banks will have their format, the development banks will have their format, the bilateral agencies, World Bank, IFC, will have their format. And of course, the higher you go and the bigger the amount, the more robust your business plan should be. Very, very robust and strong, you know. But I always say that the business plan is like someone who is bathing. Somebody can bath from the feet up. Somebody can bath from the head down. At the end of the day, you have taken your bath. However you started, all right? So this outline has 1, 2, 3, about 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, about 15 bullets, starting with the executive summary. And like I said, there is no hard and fast rule about the format, just that your executive summary must always come first. For that one, it must be done. And of course, somebody must know about your company before you start asking them for money. So that one too is important. But aside that, you can put it anyhow you want. All right, now let's go to the next slide. So mainly, the executive summary is the last thing to be written, is the last document that needs to be covered. That is, after you are done with the entire business plan, that is when you write the executive summary. And the executive summary should, as we said, a summary of everything that's been put in there. So once I pick your executive summary, I should see something small on the business. a little write-up on the project that the business is trying to pursue. I should also see the people behind the business, the board of directors, and then the management staff. You know, all of this summarized into a paragraph. Your executive summary should not go beyond 3 pages. One minimum, 3 maximum. And I bet you most of the times that is the only part of your business plan that will be read most of the time. Okay. So you can't afford to get this wrong. It must be very punchy. It must be very succinct and straight to the point. No, you shouldn't make it too wordy. Neither should it lack in substance. Then the funding required. So the purpose of the business plan is a project that you want to pursue, and the project goes with a specific fund that you require. Then the next thing is to give us some financial analysis. You summarize your financial analysis and put here. Let us see your ROA, ROE, you know, your payback ratios, and so on and so forth. Give us something to let us know that the project is indeed profitable. Then you conclude your executive summary, all in 1 to 3 pages. All right. Shall I go to the next slide? Now you are coming to the write-up proper. You started writing your business plan. What should you cover first of all? This is an existing. I'm presuming that what you are writing about is an existing business. If it is even a greenfield, we expect that the company should be incorporated. Once the company is incorporated, then there are some information on the company that should come in here. Because you don't go to the market looking for money without having anything on the company. So you and your team should have sat down to put in the vision statement, the mission statement, what is unique about what you are trying to do, you know, and then your competitive advantages. You should have it written out. And here we could look at again between 2 to 3 pages. Yeah, that should suffice for that. Then we come to history. That is where there's actually a history to the company. If it's an existing business, then we should come to who are the promoters of the business. What are the financial and operational highlights? Okay, so give us some historic information on how the company has performed over time. That is very critical to take us to the next stage. Now, significant achievements, because someone is bringing money or technical expertise into your business, the person must know how you have performed over time. Are there some major challenges, financial, operational issues that we should know? Give us the history of the company. This is where you must give us that information. But try not to be very wordy. There are some people who are all over the place. So for me, in some instances, I use bullet points so that you can tackle issues one after the other. Instead of just writing in prose, you can just use bullet points and ensure that you covered all grounds. Now, the company exists to do an activity, all right? Sometimes it could be tangible, handleable products, or it can be services like law firms such as Techless own does, and my own, we render services, all right? So you must give us what the product of the company is and the key features, okay? So what is different about what you offer? If you're doing toothpaste, is it like what everybody is doing, or you're doing something different? Shea butter or cosmetics, what is it that you are bringing new to the market? Those are the things that will attract investors. What kind of customers have you served? corporate entities or normal entities that you have said? Do you have specific warranties and guarantees, or how do you call this? Patent, okay? If you have some patent to your name, that could be very important. It can be mentioned here. In fact, that comes to your unique selling propositions. What makes you different? What makes you stand out? There might be the need to describe your raw materials, your key suppliers, future products and services. In summary, give us everything there is about your product and services. And remember that when you are writing your business plan, you are giving someone a document that will speak in your absence. All right? And that document should give them everything they need to know without necessarily calling you for clarification. So you must be very, very direct, very succinct, and straight to the point, so that whoever picked the document in a matter of time should be able to guess everything about the company. And so when they are coming to you, they are coming to you to discuss probably details on the funding, the repayment. But even then, if your work is well done, all that should be there. So probably the next step should be to sign the contract and proceed. All right. Now, the company is run by people. The company is not a building. So we'd like to know which people are behind the entity. Okay. This is also found in your executive summary. So who are your board of directors? What is the short profile of them? Sometimes when the profile are long and you think that every information is necessary, you can just put in a table with the people. They are probably, some people are interested in their age, okay? Because if a business is being run by octogenarians, it has its own risk. So they like to know their names, their age, academic qualification, and experiences. So you can do a simple table and put it in and carry the real profiles to the appendix. So that if people are interested in knowing more about the promoters, they go to the appendix and get that information. In addition to that, the management staff, we should know about them, their background, experience, education, and so on and so forth. You can adopt a similar strategy if the profiles are long and the people are many. All right, and carry the details to the appendix. And then future addition to team. If of course, here you have your organogram as well. Your organogram should be here. And sometimes you see some organizations and the organogram is totally dissociated from the list that they will give you for their management staff. But then some will tell you that because we are at this level of growth, only some few spots in the organogram have been filled, but we intend to fill the rest later. So that comes into future additions to management team. So if you intend filling some positions going forward, you can just state that. There is no need to bring in people, profiles, and things that are not there. You don't have to cook anything. But if you are very deficient in human resource, what I would say is that at least try to present one person for your board. That is, if it's a limited liability company, one person as your board chair, and indicate that you are in the process of appointing the rest of the board members. And put one person there as a managing director or the CEO, and also indicate that you are in the process of appointing the other line managers. Okay, so your organogram should be there and all the people behind the business. And sometimes you realize that the promoter of the business might not have a very strong CV to attract a kind of funding they are looking for. In that case, there's a need to talk to other people to come on board, all right? Because whoever is giving an organization funding is also assessing the people who make decisions regarding the funds. If those making decisions are not trustworthy people or people they are comfortable with, they are likely to hold on the funds and not release it. Then you come to your industry, okay? What industry do you operate in? And what is the profile of the industry? This is more like, for those who went to university, this is more like literature review, okay? So it's a literature review section of your business plan. This is more on write-up, some analysis, okay? If you want to go very, very deep. So you give us the industry background overview, significant trends, growth rates, barrier to entry, exit, key success factors in the industry, outlook. All these things could change depending on your industry, but at least we must see the highlights put in there so that whoever is reviewing, no, don't move yet, don't move to the next slide. So whoever is reviewing it can position your business within a specific industry, okay? Sometimes your line of business crosses 2 or 3 industries. You must still try to capture all those industries as much as you can so that we give people a very good background to understand, especially people who are not operators in your industry. They must read a document and have an appreciation of what industry you operate in for them to come on board and help you do it. Now, if your business is not doing well and the industry trajectory is good, then the person can understand that it's a matter of time before you do well because the trajectory is positive. But if you are doing well and even the industry trajectory is negative, then the person, the funder, of course, will be cautious. So all of this information is important. And as much as possible, make your industry analysis as current as possible. Okay? If you've written a thesis before, your lecturers will tell you that they don't want information that is more than 5 years old. So the last 5 years data is what they want. The same thing applies here because when it comes to the business sector, things change very quickly. So I try as much as possible not to present information beyond 3 years. So in this case, we are talking about 2023, 2022, 2021. Of course, you can go to 2020 and so on and so forth, but don't dwell there. You must let your information be as current as possible. And a lot of the information here is just a Google search away. All right. If you know what to search for and put in the right information, you can get everything. And mostly, this is where your business plan is mostly information from the internet. Majority of it is not. Once I finish, I charge a client for doing a business plan. I say, but this one, you just go to the internet and take the information and bring me. And I said, oh, then that's easy. Go to the internet too, because the internet is available to all of us. Why don't you go there? When they see this section and saw that you review some literature, they thought that every other thing is like that. It's not. It is only this section. All right. Yeah, we can go to the next slide. Now, your industry analysis should lead you directly into your competitor analysis. So sometimes you can even merge the industry analysis and the competitor analysis into one chapter. Sometimes you can choose to separate the two, especially where you must do a very robust competitor analysis. Then you can add it up. So you must identify who your existing competitors are, and you must know them, and you must know what they are in, their capacity, and so on and so forth. You know, their own competitive advantages, their strengths and weaknesses, because after you've done a good competitor analysis, then we should know where you are positioning your company and your products and what else you are bringing on the market. It shouldn't just be you coming to do what everybody else is doing. Even if you're doing what everybody else is doing, what marketing difference are you bringing? What demographic targets are you bringing? So when you are doing this, we are not trying to say that situate your product in its physical or chemical features, but what else are you bringing? How are you differentiating yourself from all the existing players on the market? That is critical. Then if you think through very well, you can also identify potential competitors. In this era of disruption, business disruptions due to technology and so on and so forth, you should be able to know the kind of disruptions that could happen, okay? That could potentially bring in some people into your sector. Now, if you do all this, you are likely to impress your funders, particularly if after identifying all this, you are able to carve a niche for yourself in the document and situate your business such that a reviewer can tell how you want to differentiate yourself and stand out. It is a very critical strength. All right, let's go to the next level. Now, after this, you come to your business strategy, okay? Your business strategy is talking about where you are going and how you intend to get there. So your business image and your position in the market. Okay, let me go on. Your business image and position in the market. Of course, if you are a startup, you might not have an image, no position in the market, okay? So, and it is not for you to say what you don't have. If you don't have it, be quiet on it, okay? Because sometimes if you don't talk about it, people don't identify it. But if you say, I don't have this kind of, so you just highlight your strength and let it stand out. Then your operational goals, financial goals and objectives. Sometimes this second section could be put in the first page, okay, where you are talking about a company. Some people choose to bring it here, some choose to bring it over there. Then your SWOT analysis. Your SWOT analysis is critical to identify what are your strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities in the industry, then the threats. Mostly the strength and the weaknesses are internal. The opportunities and threats are external. I mean, this is fundamental business school information. Some of us didn't go to business school, but we've done business for a long time. We understand these things. You know, then your competitive strategies, okay, where you are talking about your differentiation, your focus, cost leadership, things that give you competitive advantage. Remember, we mentioned this earlier, but in this section, you are doing a much more deeper analysis, okay? And it's not a repetition at all. So I don't think you are doing a repetition. You are only trying to emphasize some things that have been mentioned earlier on. Next slide, please. Yeah, now we come to your marketing strategies, all right? Here, we talk about your target market. If it's an existing business, which segment of people have you been serving? Is your market primarily children, teenagers, young mothers, older people, young adults, or are you targeting any and every? There are some products that are consumed across the spectrum, old, young, they are all in there. Then there are some products that target students, okay, or a certain demographic segments. So you must tell us who your target market is. And once you don't have a target market, you are not in business. All right. So your target market should be clearly defined. There shouldn't be any ambiguity about it. And if you have the numbers, it is good to mention it at this point. The target market, if you have or the trajectory of growth in that target market. All right. For instance, there are some products that target young teenagers, but once you catch them at that point, they will keep using it for the rest of their lives. A typical example was when we were in Legon. That was when MTN came to Ghana. It was very difficult to get Vodafone chip at that time. I think at that time it was around 100 Ghana, but even then you had to go and keep. You won't get it. But MTN came and targeted the young students and sold their chips all over. And these people have kept those chips from school till they are adults into their 40s and their 50s. Okay, so their target market was young people at that time, and then that target market stuck with them for life. Please go back to the last slide we were working on. So your target market need to be defined. If there's a problem with the target market, let us know with their profile and other characteristics. Okay, so what to attract your target market to your service? If you're into streaming services, streaming music, movies, and so on and so forth, what to attract people to that platform? Okay, all those things need to be made clear. Your target market, their motivation to buy. I'll talk about the size and trend. That need to be very, very much defined. Personal selling points. All right. So sales force size, recruitment and training, compensation amount, and so on and so forth. So this one, try to see how you are trying to penetrate the market. With what are you penetrating the market? That one too has to be clear. Advertising and promotion as part of your market penetration strategies. And then distribution strategy, your route to market. Are you going processor, wholesaler, agent, retailer, distributor, or you are targeting the end game user or the direct customers? How are you distributing? All right. Every product or business and how they distribute their product, but your route to market has to be very well defined, well thought through, so that we can at least understand the cost implications when we come to the financial analysis of your distribution strategies. Okay, because when you pass your products through various layers of people, it adds onto the cost. When you target the end time, what do you call it, the end user, it also has its implication in terms of your logistics and your distribution strategies. It is very critical. Then if you have done any market survey, just to understand the market, just to know what it is that you should take out, particularly for new entrants, you should make that information also available, and that will come in. As a matter of fact, if that is done well, it can flesh up this section of your write-up and ensure that you covered all grounds as far as your business plan is concerned. Next slide, please. Financial forecast. This is like the blood of your business plan. And indeed, the money is the blood of every business. Without money, you don't have business. So this section, as a matter of fact, beside your executive summary, the next section that investors will look at is your financial forecast. This is very important. So you should ensure that this section, if you are jumbling things up in the other sections, this one should be done by a professional, and it should be done very well. Because if it doesn't balance well, or that or it is poorly done, it doesn't matter how good your write-up is, the whole business plan is a crap and it's going nowhere. So in there, we have your key assumptions. Key assumptions in the sense that your business plan is mainly futuristic. It is not, of course, it bounces off your current operations, but majority of the things you put there are future-oriented, futuristic. So you need to assume for the future, okay? Put in assumption, that's assuming for the future, okay? And mostly we do forecasts for between 3 to 7 years. Some do 10 years when it's a very big project, but mostly after 10 years, it's difficult to predict because even if you know what happened with COVID, then you can know that sometimes your prediction could just be thrown off, you know. But of course, since nobody knows tomorrow, we should still put in some assumptions, and those assumptions will help someone understand the rationale for the financial modeling once the assumptions are very clear. Yeah. Then you have your financial statement, income statement, balance sheet, and cash flows. These are the 3 very critical statements that should come in there. But in addition to that, you have your break-even analysis. The break-even analysis, at what point can the business break even and start from that point on, start making profits. And here it is business specific. If I'm going into cash crop farming, let's say I'm doing cocoa or cashew or coconut, those plants, they take 4 years to fruit and 5 years to get commercial quantities. And so your break-even analysis could be 7 years and so on and so forth, okay? But if the business is existing, say I am into the production of CSD, that is carbonated soft drink, and I just need a capital injection to take it from point A to point B, then my break-even analysis can even be 6 months, can be 1 year, can be 2 years. So that one too need to be put in there. Then of course, we come to your ratios, which also need to be clear. So your financial forecast should be very comprehensive, and mostly what I do is that I do the write-up in the business plan and I carry all the tables to the appendix, so that if you need more information, you just go to the table and then you can get as detailed information as possible. Then we come to the final section where we look at what is it that you want? How much do you want? And what are we going to use it for? All right. All the while we talk about the business, we talk about everything and all of that, you know. So now you talk about what you want. How much is it? Then the use of the money. You can bring this section before the section I just talked about. It doesn't help, or you can even merge the 2 sections together, because you should have an idea what you want before you can do proper financial analysis. But this also has to be thought through very well. You must bring on focus everything that you need. CAPEX, OPEX. If you say CAPEX, we mean the capital expenditure. We talk about infrastructure. Okay, if you need to build a factory, is it from the ground up, or you just need to build just a section, or is it to renovate or refurbish an existing structure, or whatever? If it is a machinery that you are buying, are you buying brand new machines? Are you buying refurbished machines? What is it that you are buying? If it is vehicle, it should be made clear. It should be clearly outlined. If it is a working capital, which raw materials are you buying? From where? Okay, is it local? Is it international? If it's salaries, how much are you paying each person? Okay, what is your salary burden per annum? All of that need to be made very, very clear so that the investor know how much is putting into CAPEX and how much is putting into working capital or OPEX. And I believe that once you are able to cover these grounds adequately, you should have your investors engaging you on the table and probably getting the contract signed. And like I said, each institution and how they want the arrangement and the fleshing out of these sections to be, all right? Some institutions will tell you bring a 5-pager or 10-pager business plan, which means that majority of the things you have put here, you might not even need it. Some too will tell you that there are some more sections that need to be added, and you end up with a 100-page business plan. So far, the smallest we have done in Impact Initiative is like a 15-page business plan, and the biggest we have done is like 120. You know, and so far our work have gone to Afrexim, Ghana Exim Bank, World Bank. I'm yet to penetrate. I've not been able to penetrate. IFC, yes, I've had one business there, and a lot of the local banks. So the fleshing out depends on the institution receiving the work and how they want it. So mostly, even before I start, I like to speak with the institution and find out what kind of details that they want emphasized, so that you can emphasize those things in the right time, even before you submit. I think I'll draw the curtain for the day and call for questions. And then I think that will evoke more explanations to sections, right?
Absolutely. That has been a wonderful one. Thank you very much. I was happy when you mentioned, especially when you're talking about the finance part. I remember there was this project we're working on, and the project was really, really good, like very juicy. But the investor kept insisting the numbers do not add up. I like this business idea, but your numbers do not add up. He kept insisting, and there was about 3 or 4 revisions, and he still didn't go for it. And for him, the business which was looking for the funding, if they can't get their numbers right, it was a big problem for him. It's a good business, but I'm not sure you're going to preserve or protect my investment if you cannot figure out what's wrong with your calculations and your projections. And I thought it was a really, really important factor. I think most of us do not pay attention to. So for the business person, you are thinking about your business, the sustainability of it, the advancements, the growth of it. But for the investor, it's about the numbers. It's about putting my money in, getting my money back at this return or that return. And we should be able, as I said, be able to project these clearly in our business plans. I was happy that you mentioned that. So ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it all. We are opening the floor for questions and answers. if you have a question, kindly put up your hand and then we will call you. You can text your question. I've received a couple on our WhatsApp group, 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5. Oh, first, yes, Mr. Benny, Brother Benny, your hand is up. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you so much, lawyer. This is Benedict. So just to let you know, that's
Hi,
me. All right.
Benedict. Happy to
Hey.
hear from you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Ajina, for the presentation. I joined in a little bit late, but I really appreciate some of these things. But I do have one or two questions. So, with when you talk about break even, for instance, you said that sometimes in your proposal you have about, let's say, break even is going to be 5 or 6 years. So when you are selling something to, and investors usually are always looking up to the profit, because after break even is when profit comes.
Yes.
Doesn't matter the years as to you be breaking even, because investors really want to get their money. It could be short term or long term.
Yeah.
So what actually draws them to invest into your business, if it's going to be a longer period or a shorter period that you break even?
Okay, all right, sure. Is there another question, or I should answer
Please
this one?
go ahead. Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay, now, before you even start putting your business plan together, you must know what institution that your document is going to. All right. There are some institutions that can accommodate long-term funding. Like I do a lot of work for the Ghana Exim Bank, and because it's a development bank, they are able to give a moratorium to the tune of 5 years for, let's say, cash crop farming. Because if somebody is going to do cashew, for instance, and it is taking 4 years for the person to see the first fruit of cashew, from 0 to 4 years, he has not earned anything. It can earn bits and pieces of money through the intercrops, but that is not significant to pay off the facility. All right. So in this case, a development bank of that sort understands that this is the business trajectory, and we are willing to go with him. If you approach a commercial bank with that kind of project, it will not work, because a commercial bank will give you maximum 6 months. Yesterday, I was presenting to a couple of share butter entrepreneurs in Tamale, and just before my presentation, there was an Access Bank presentation on a MasterCard fund that gives a very good rate of 4% per annum. And I'm someone who is interested in coconut farm. I've already bought 100 acres and I'm going to start. So I approached the guy. I said, your 4% is very attractive to me, but my situation is this. I'm going to do coconut. With even the hybrid, it will take 3 years for it to start fruiting. So can you give me a moratorium of 4 years? And he said that would not work, because their whole project is a 4-year project. That means that the project is ending even before I start my repayment. All right. And the highest they can give me is 6 months. So if I can borrow at the back of my existing business, take the money to go do my farm, and finance the facility from my existing business, they are okay with that. But they definitely can't go with my timelines. So you must identify the source of your funding and whether they can accommodate the intricacies and the nuanced nature of your business before you even put in this kind of analysis. Other than that, if you take short-term funding for long-term project and vice versa, you see that at a point you get locked up, and it will be like you don't want to pay the facility, but it's not really the case. You got caught up using short-term funds for long-term projects.
Very well. That's a good one. Any other hand? I don't see any other hands, so I'll read what I have here. The first question we received, okay, I wish to inquire for an industry that is emerging, that's with little industry information. How would you navigate around the industry analysis?
Okay, this is pretty easy in the sense that for every industry, you can get tons and tons of data from the internet. Okay, if it is even a nascent industry, which is a beginning industry, somebody might have written a thing or two. But if there is absolutely nothing on the industry, you must state that in your business plan. And then give whatever little information that you can find there and indicate, because the institution funding your business or reviewing could also know, or they should know, that this is an industry that is just emerging. All right.
Okay. Would you recommend a market data or analysis or research or something like this?
Yes, I will. As a matter of fact, for you to get a very robust business plan, if you have time and the resources, you should do a market research. Once you do that, then definitely it helps you position your business and your products right, so that you can tease out the competitive advantages and then beef up your own product idea and description.
In fact, on the market research, something we observed that local businesses going into business hardly engage or conduct market research to understand the trends and customer, should I say, behavior and how sustainable the business is. Most of us are moved by passion and by ideas. But each time we have foreigners coming into the country, the first question is, how do I get a market data or market research done? And I see that they are more interested in understanding whether their business will be successful, whether the plan they have in promoting their business will be successful, rather than moving with just the idea or the passion, which is something we don't see a lot with local businesses. So I'm glad that it has come up. We will advise or encourage as much as possible. Let's get market data. There are some organizations already have the data available. You can buy if you have the means. If you can't, as you said, get on the internet, analyze what is there, give to some of your accountants or finance guys to explain to you what it means and how you can incorporate them in your plan. But the best is always seek experts, assistance. Mr. Agina is more than capable. And I told you earlier, he's highly recommended. Most of the financial organizations we work with will ask you, let's make sure he looks or review your proposal before you bring it to us. So he's a good asset. I'll quickly go to the next question. I think we are running out of time. So the first question we received, the person asked, is there a difference between business proposal and business plan? And which ones are financiers willing or interested in?
So there are different ways given to the same document. Business plan, business proposal, it depends. It's like data and data. You get it. Somebody said it depends on the secondary school you went to. So, and then to add a little bit to what you said, even when it gets to business plan, most companies don't like to write it, unless a financier or an equity partner is pushing them to do it. So it's not a culture that we have here, but I can understand. People think that it's expensive. Why should I spend 20K, 30K on a document that I'll hardly use? But it comes back to buy them at a point in time,
Right. Hopefully we'll get better. Thank God for platforms.
Exactly.
Okay, so I just read two last questions. Our time is almost up. The second question I would read is competitive advantage. How do I determine my competitive advantage?
Okay. If you know your industry well, then you should know what others are offering. and what you are offering. So if you are offering something that is different from what others are offering, then that is your competitive advantage. Okay. It can be that it is the same product, but every other person is targeting young adults. If I say young adults, that's people 18 years and above. But you have sat down and looked through and thought through and seen that, okay, the same product, I can target teenagers in addition to the young adult. That becomes a competitive advantage because those in your sector are not thinking along those lines. Or probably you make cosmetics. Everyone is making the same thing. But you realize that if you add a perfume, a certain scent, or a certain product, the product comes out different. It smells different, and therefore becomes preferred to what exists in the industry. That's a competitive advantage. You realize that you can take your product outside the country. Ghana is choked, saturated, but Togo, there is no one of your product there. It's a competitive advantage. So anything that gives you an edge, it can be the product itself, it can be the distribution strategy. For instance, I talk about people who distribute in various layers, okay? But you are doing it such that you are going directly to the consumer. You are cutting off all those layers. So it is just your margin on it that the consumer is getting, which means if everybody is selling at 50 cedis, you can afford to sell it at 35 cedis. That's a competitive advantage. So you just have to think through what you are offering and see where your advantage is. And that is your competitive advantage.
Awesome, thank you. So in short, being different, what makes you, your business, your product or service different from what is on the market? And I think one thing I would chip in here is that when you find your competitive advantage today, we must still be strategic, we must still analyze projections into the future, because what is working today might not work tomorrow. And you realize that most businesses are not able to survive when what they do, how they enter the market or the situations change. So I think that we need to build our strategy expertise as well, making sure that every year or year in, year out, we are coming out with something unique and different that is that's a game changer in the market, and that will sustain us in the long run. The last question, and I like this last question, I want to read it. There are several questions I'm passing, but this is something legal. The person asks that, do I need to get my permits, my licenses, and you mentioned business registration before I can put together a good business plan?
Yes. If you are presenting your business plan to family and friends, then you might not need the business registration permits and so on and so forth, because unless that friend or family is business savvy like me, then in that case, I won't invest in your business. If you approach your father to put some money in your business, he might not say, go and bring your business registration. But if you are approaching an institution outside of yourself, then you must get your stuff together. So if you're producing food, your EPA license, if you're producing any other environmentally, any product that should be environmentally friendly, then EPA, your company should be registered by the Registrar General. Some even go to the extent of checking if you are tax registered, SNIT registered, but of course, it might not be required by most institutions. But at least Registrar General, Food and Drugs Board, EPA, Ghana Standards Authority, as long as your business hovers around these areas, you must get your licenses done. Other than that, that one alone can hold up your funding. Yeah. And I saw a question about inflation. Somebody said whether inflation is factored in there. What you do in your business plan is a future forecast. All right. and inflation affects you now. So inflation does not factor in as much as depreciation. All right. So it's depreciation of the assets that you are seeking to buy, but inflation not as much, you know.
And there's another question. The example you mentioned about Coconut Farm with financial or bank, would you recommend to present your proposal to, sorry, I can't read.
To seek
What
funding.
financial institution or banks would you recommend to?
Yeah. Mostly it is the development banks and then the venture capital fund that will give you that opportunity.
Yes.
Commercial banks, no, it doesn't work. A commercial bank will not give you a moratorium of 3 or 4 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Like I said,
sorry, go ahead.
Like I said, I approached Access Bank and they said they will give me only 6 months. But if I talk of a development bank, we are talking about probably the Development Bank of Ghana, that is on the financial house around the city house. Then the Ghana Exim Bank at the Africa Trade House. These are the two local development banks I know. If you go international, we are talking about Afrexim Bank, okay, that will also accommodate, but those ones, the project need to be big, very huge. And then, of course, we have some private fund that I work with, others who fund huge projects. For them, the project should be like $20 million and above, that they also fund. Yeah.
So on that note, what I wanted to add to that is there are some private funding organizations who focus on agribusiness. There are others who focus on other businesses as well. We work with a couple of them. So if you are on here, you have a business that is 3 years and above, you have good business plan as we discussed, or of course seek assistance for a good business plan, and you need funding or financing, you can reach out and we would arrange meetings with these organizations. They are happy to assist any of our clients. So it's a good opportunity to get in touch with us on that. Mr. Paul Akwakwa, I'm really happy to see you here. You have a question?
Yes, thank you. Sorry, I joined a bit late, but nonetheless, I'm trying to ask your resource person regarding this funding. Can individuals pool resources together to go into these projects? If they are or they can, what are the limitations? Are there matters that they have to look out for, the risk? Are there risk factors or anything?
No, the first part of your question is not clear. If you say individuals pooling resources together, as in pooling resources to fund projects or pooling resources to assess funding, which is which?
First of all, for instance, your coconut farm.
Yes.
Let's say 3, 4, 5 guys come together and say, look, we need to pool this amount of resources. We all bring in bits. And yes. So are there risks in it? And if there are risks, what would be your advice?
Okay. I used to work in Opportunity International as a credit supervisor before I came into stock market analysis and then on to consultancy. Now, in Opportunity International, I'm trying to answer your question indirectly before I come to the director. In Opportunity International, we're doing what we call group loans. And what we're observing is that they were coming in groups of 10. Sometimes you can get 7 of them paying and 3 of them are not paying. And what we're doing is group guarantee. Group guarantee in the sense that if the 3 doesn't pay, the 7 have to share the 3 and pay. All right. And at times you can see the burden on the group, particularly if it continues for a long time. If it is 1 time, 2 time, they share and pay, then they'll go and run to the person who defaulted for their money. But it can continue through the cycle of the loan, and it becomes a burden. The same thing could happen when you try to come together to do a project like that, particularly when it's farming. Farming is very risky, okay? You can get fire, you can get rodent attack, you can get pest diseases coming in, and somebody can be downright lazy at keeping their farm. And here's the case: you have pooled resources together to assess a facility. Let's say each of you needing about 3 million. You've come together and assessed that money. He has given it to you, and the officer is holding the group accountable. You are prepared to pay, the other person is messing up. It becomes a problem. Okay. You get it? So as much as it's commendable, it is risky. Very risky. Particularly when it comes to farming. I won't advise it because anything can happen.
Okay. I'm grateful.
Thank you.
In fact, that's a very interesting and a good question. And one thing I also note is that it's partnerships and collaborations are really difficult locally. But most foreign businesses or most foreigners are doing good business in Ghana through partnerships. Maybe on a different session, we'll have to analyze or discuss how we can promote partnerships and use it as a means to enlarge businesses or to engage or undertake large businesses. I think locally we may have difficulties in understanding how partnerships run. And the risks that he spoke about, I promise you, they are real. Daily, we get clients coming in with partnerships which have gone sour. And it's actually painful to know that we Ghanaians find it very difficult trusting each other, working together to achieve a greater goal. But most foreigners, I promise you, most of our clients who come in, foreigners, come in as partners. And sometimes they don't even have very strict contracts, but they are still able to work together to undertake viable businesses in Ghana. But we are unable to do that. Maybe it's a good topic. We'll consider that in future discussions, building or encouraging or learning or de-learning all the difficulties we have about partnerships and encouraging it among us. But in the meantime, if you have trusted people which you can put resources together, what we will advise as lawyers is that get legal advice, get the right contract drafted, get the right security clauses or terms in the agreement, know how to even settle your dispute. It should be very clear in your agreement before you sign. And then once your lawyers have reviewed and confirmed it, you can go ahead with the partnership. So you can reduce the risk by having proper legal advice, sometimes finance advice, but when you get the expert to look at what you intend to do, they'll help you on what documents you need to protect your interests. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we bring today's session to an end. It is exactly 12. Thank you so much, Mr. Agyenaah Kessie-Tetteh. You have been very helpful. We've had more questions. I'll text them to you probably after the event so that we can get the answers to the participants. Ladies and gentlemen, we love you. We thank you so much for making time every month to join us. We will come back to you next month with something exciting. Until then, do well with your businesses, be focused, do the right business. We are here to support you, and we know that things will get well for each and every one of us. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And thank you. Oh, Ms. Arnold, really happy to see you. Thank you. Mr. Paul, Benedict, Nawaf, I see you. Emmanuel, I see you. Mr. Nab, thank you. Mr. Payne Atkins, oh, God bless you all for your support. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, Stephen Waffle, my big boss. Mr. Pierre, I see you. William Bernard Ricketts, hi. Thank you all very much. Samira, Lawyer Samira, I see you there. Regina, Richard, Mr. Joe. Thank you. We'll meet again next month. Bye.